one Canadian YouTuber risking life and limb to find the answers. No, honey dog, we are not searching for Bigfoot. Nope, not skinwalkers either.
What we're looking for is the most magical, the most majestic, and the most elusive creature of all. Subscribers. Astral projection. The thing of absolute fairy tale and lunacy, right? Most might think so until they have an experience that makes them think otherwise. After all, if it's good enough for the CIA, why not for the everyday person? So, we're going to do a deep dive, so let's go down the rabbit hole. So what is astral projection? Well, astral projection is the ability to project your conscious self outside of your physical body. For this whole month, I've been doing different things to try and induce an astral projection experience. But before we get to what I've been doing, I'm going to tell you some stories about my childhood. When I was very small, like maybe 3 or 4, somewhere in there, my bedroom was to kind of give you a visual, there was a set of stairs that went up, and then there was a mezzanine that looked over the living room of the house. And my bed was kind of tucked between the staircase and the mezzanine against the outside wall. And every night for I don't know how long, what seemed like every single night to a small child, I know it was definitely multiple times, I would have a dream that I would get up out of bed, walk to the railing of the mezzanine, and I would float up a couple feet into the air, fly over the top of the mezzanine, float down to the living room below, and then walk to the couch, get on the couch, go to sleep. And then in the morning, I would actually, in real life, wake up on the couch. So for a long time, I think everybody figured that it was just sleepwalking, that I was just sleepwalking all the way down to the couch. But the thing that doesn't make sense to me is, one, I never fell down the stairs and hurt myself. It was a very large staircase. 2, no one ever saw me do it. Like, my parents never saw me sleepwalking, my sister never saw me sleepwalking. You'd think that if I was doing this night after night after night, they might try and, like, stop me. I don't know. This is where, like, the problems begin, because you're like, what's more likely? Sleepwalking where nobody ever sees you? Or astral projecting? Or some combination of the two? Because what I think was going on was kind of a combination of both, because you have to remember, my physical body was waking up downstairs on the couch. So in my cuckoo bananas brain, what I think I was doing is my consciousness was astral projecting and flying down to the couch while my body was walking down the stairs, and then they would meet up and I would wake up in the morning. I know, I'm nuts, okay? But that's why I'm here, because everybody, I don't know, whatever. So as we're talking, it might be kind of confusing as to whether I'm awake in a dream, awake in a lucid dream, just plain awake. So what I'm gonna do is put a little thinger in a corner somewhere here that says the state that my physical body was in, kind of at each point in the story. So I hope that it can all make sense for everybody. So there's a couple possibilities here. 1, I was actually levitating and flying. Why not? I don't know. 2, I was simply sleepwalking down the stairs. 3, I think my consciousness was astral projecting and floating over the mezzanine into the living room below, while my physical body was walking down the stairs, and then they were meeting by the couch downstairs. Why do I think that's my theory? I don't know, because somehow it just makes more sense to me than anything else. Now, we could really get into the nitty-gritty between astral projection, out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, but I don't want to kind of like start picking things apart too much. just because they are all experiences of having your consciousness separate from your body. So, yeah, we're gonna just kind of keep that part a little bit simple. So this next story, it was definitely a near-death experience, not an astral projection, but it is just kind of another example of how we don't know everything. In fact, we don't know anything, really, when you think about it. Anyway, to keep this one short, I was in an accident in gym class, I was knocked unconscious, and I was floating up by the top, like the roof of the gymnasium, looking down at the gym teacher giving me CPR. And then I was just chilling up there watching. I just kind of like got sucked back into my body. And then I woke up. Really bad concussion. That's probably why I'm cuckoo bananas now. Scrambled my brain. So I've got a couple more stories, but let's kind of get into what I've been doing to try and induce an astral projection, because I used to do this as a kid, or do what I believe to be astral projection as a kid. And there's kind of been like spontaneous little incidents here and there throughout my life, but they are definitely becoming less and less frequent. And that kind of sucks, because astral projection and lucid dreaming, which we're going to get into a little bit, are both really fucking cool. And they're really fun. So, like, why would we not want to be able to do these things? Okay, so several years ago, probably about 2 years ago, I suppose, I found the Robert Monroe Gateway tapes. So if you've read Robert Monroe's books, you know who he was. If you haven't, well, he was somebody who basically his astral projections, they got so out of hand that like anytime he would just sit down or lie down, he would just pop out of his body and off he'd be. So he decided he needed to find a way to study it and control it, and that's what he did. I've got one of his books, Journeys Out of Body, I believe, and it is basically like a scientific paper recording all his experiences and all his things and like everything he did during these astral projections. Some of the things they talk about is ways to learn how to do this. So they have the Gateway tapes. Now, so this was a government experiment to try and teach soldiers essentially how to astral project. Remote viewing, which is similar, but it's got a little bit more of like a, I don't want to say a psychic aspect, but it's more in your brain and body while you're still in it instead of you exiting it, if that makes sense. So there's a whole series of these basically guided meditations. They're on YouTube. You can go and find them and do them yourself. You go somewhere. You should just try it. Like I can't even put it into words. Like maybe if you're really familiar with meditations, you kind of know what I mean. But it's like you start the meditation and then it's almost as if at a certain point you fall asleep. But you're not asleep. You're still conscious because you're still going through what you're being instructed to do by the tape, by the voice on the tape. But then it's like you just float away. And then at a certain point, you will be called back. They'll be like, okay, it's time to start to come back. And it's like something just grabs you and just pulls you back. Now, I've never actually achieved an astral projection from these Gateway tapes, but it is like all this is kind of happening in your mind. It's very strange. It's very relaxing, and it's quite cool to do. Like it's, I don't know, like meditation does something to your brain. I don't know how else to say it. But I had to stop doing them because I was getting just the most intense and uncomfortable restless leg syndrome after, I don't know, a couple weeks or so of going through these tapes. And it was like it was just like my nerves were on fire. Like I could not do it anymore, so I stopped for about a year. So when I decided to do this for this video, I started the tapes again. Now, I don't know if it's kind of like you do something enough times it becomes ineffective, but the very first tape that I listened to, I'm saying tape because they're called the Gateway tapes, but they're on YouTube now. I'm watching them on YouTube. The very first one I did, I had a great, relaxing, guided meditation. I flitted away into the ether, and it was fantastic. And then as I kept going through them throughout this month, I didn't really have anything happen. I didn't get to that like moving away from my body and being sucked in feeling. I didn't have that kind of like lucid, semi-conscious, semi-not like feeling. It was like I was just sitting there with my eyes closed, listening to a voice. So I don't know. I will be continuing with the tapes because I do feel that it is still beneficial to try to meditate, even if you're not getting the desired result. I don't know. There's a lot of factors too. You know, like it's winter. It sucks. I haven't seen sunlight in like 2 months. It's stressful. It's cold and dark. Blah, 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 blah. So that could be just kind of part of it. So if you are kind of looking for an easy step into trying to learn how to astral project, you can just search on YouTube, Gateway tapes. Sometimes they get taken down because they are copywritten. Every once in a while they just disappear, but then some, because they've been out there for so long now, since like the 80s, they'll get taken down, but then somebody just re-uploads them. You just have to search for them and find them again a couple days later. Let's go to another story now. Okay, so we'd be talking like early teens all the way up to about probably 7 years ago. So not that long ago, I suffered from horrible insomnia. And one thing that does kind of have some credibility with astral projection techniques is essentially sleep deprivation or interrupting the REM cycle of sleep. And I do think that when I was sleep deprived from insomnia, it was probably easier to kind of have these experiences. Now, at this point, I don't think that these kind of sleep deprived experiences were 100% astral projections, but I think they were, I don't know how to put it, kind of a shadow of an astral projection. Like they were some kind of altered state experience, but not a fully out of body experience. It would be this loop where you would get up, get ready for school and or work, go out the door, you know, get in your car or on your school bus or whatever, go to school, and then you'd wake up, then get up, get out of bed, get ready for school, go out the door, get on the school bus, go to school, wake up, over and over and over and over again, until eventually you would actually, for real, wake up and you'd be confused as hell, not knowing what's going on. But then the weird thing is that from the moment I would actually be awake, for real, the day would play out exactly how it did in my dream. Which is kind of strange. That's just kind of a strange little thing that you're like, is your brain just creating false synchronicities? Is it trying to find a connection that doesn't actually exist? Or is it kind of like a premonition? So another thing that I've been doing for the whole month is certain teas. Now, so I've been kind of alternating between mugwort tea and lavender tea. And they're both just supposed to be really calming, make you nice and sleepy. And I can't say that I've had much results with those. But I could not get it because A, it is quite expensive. B, it's actually illegal in some places. You can have it and get it in Canada, but I couldn't get it in time. Is Blue Lotus tea. I had Blue Lotus tea a while back, and I can say that it will give you crazy dreams. They will be very vivid. They will be very realistic. Really, really made my dreams really intense. So let's talk about the connection between sleep and astral projection. So the thought is that there's a certain point in your sleep cycle that it is easier for your consciousness to separate from your physical body. So some people claim that, like Robert Monroe, they can just lie down, like meditate for a little bit, and they can just do it. But for other people, it seems like being in that full, deep sleep is easier. But the problem is you're asleep. So what a lot of people do is they'll set an alarm for like 3 a.m. So they'll go to sleep, alarm will go off, it'll wake them up, and then they will start their kind of meditation right then. Because what you kind of have to do is you kind of have to figure out where your REM cycle might be. So you disrupt that REM cycle, and hopefully as you're just drifting back to sleep, you're now doing your meditation that you do. Hopefully you can kind of hit just the perfect combination of the two and pop out of your body. Look, I'm no scientist, okay? There's lots of books, there's lots of research. I'm just kind of saying what I can say on the subject. I really, really, really love sleep. So I will not set an alarm for 3 a.m. to wake myself up under any circumstances. That brings me to my next story. This one was what I believe was a astral projection. One of the craziest dream states, dreamscapes, something that I've ever been in. Now, I know that it wasn't a completely full astral projection because of one detail that I will get to in a minute. So before we go on, I need to explain the difference between astral projection and lucid dreaming. So astral projection, your physical body is asleep. Your consciousness, or your spirit, whatever you want to call it, has come physically out and away. And then whatever experiences it's having, like it is you, that is you. So when it comes back into your body, you're going to remember everything as if it was you doing it. Lucid dreaming, you're still in your body. You're just asleep, but you have realized that you are asleep and in a dream, and you can control the dream world. You can't do anything outside of the dream world. You are asleep and dreaming. So that's the difference. Astral projection, real world, lucid dreaming, dream world. So this story. So this did happen when my sleep was interrupted one night. So I woke up and then I was trying to drift back to sleep. Everything was the perfect temperature, the most comfortable temperature I've ever felt in my entire life. Like just physically comfortable. Like it was just so comfortable. It was like kind of how I imagine maybe being in like a sensory deprivation tank would be. Like it was like I was lying on a cloud. And I can feel myself start to raise up. And I'm kind of curled up in fetal position. And I'm just going up really, really, really slow. And like it feels impossibly slow. Like it feels like it's, been like 20 minutes to raise 3 feet off the bed. And then I start to rotate. And I remember it was counterclockwise. My head was here, my feet were here, and I was going like this. Rotating and rotating and rotating and rotating and rotating. So this is my head again. These are my feet rotating. And then when I just about got to kind of my beginning position, it was like a record skipping. I got like stuck. So then I was doing this. Trying to rotate. Can't rotate. I'm stuck. And then I thought to myself, this sucks. I was so comfortable. I was the perfect temperature. I was lying on a goddamn cloud. Now this isn't it. This is making me uncomfortable. You know, it's making me blah. So then there was a little noise in my head. It was like, up I went, and my feet hit the floor. And they are my feet, and I'm in my house. It is a little bit different, and my vision is a little bit different. Everything is kind of tinged a little bit yellowy green, and I started jumping up and down because I was like, I did it. I astral projected. I've done it, and I was like celebrating. So I was conscious, like I was completely aware of my surroundings, completely aware of my body. So with an astral projection, because you have come up and out of your body should still be there asleep. So I turned around to look, and my body wasn't there. And that kind of confused me. So I was like, is this an astral projection, or am I just lucid dreaming? So then I kind of started doing just like little tests to try and figure it out. And one thing with lucid dreaming versus astral projection, do not ask me why, but it is reported by many, many people, is that in a lucid dream, if you look at your hand, your fingers your hand and your fingers, they'll be all messed up. Maybe there's an extra finger, maybe you're missing a finger, maybe your hand is blurry. Whereas in an astral projection, your hand will just be your hand. So I was like, okay, I'll look at my hands. My left hand had an extra finger. So I was like, extra finger, okay, that means lucid dream. Look at my right hand. My right hand was totally normal. And I started walking down the stairs. Now at this point, the house, like in wherever I was, it was still my house, but it was just a little bit different, which again, kind of lends towards the lucid dream side. If this is a lucid dream, what is the thing everyone wants to do, right? Everyone wants to fly in their lucid dream. So I looked out the window, and it was raining and storming and lightning, crappy weather. So I was like, okay, well, lucid dream, I can change whatever I need to change to make it suitable for what I want. Like, that's kind of the point of lucid dreaming, is you are in charge. You are the master of what's happening. So I kind of like closed my eyes, and I was like, okay, let's make the weather good. And I was like picturing like a rainbow and like nice sun, some fluffy clouds. Opened my eyes. Nope. Still totally storming outside. So I was like, okay. Can't change anything. So that lends toward the lucid dream theory aspect. Whatever. And then I see a dream character. So a dream character, obviously, is a character in a dream, but the thought is that, like, if you're just in a normal dream, it's nothing, right? It's just fucking Tim, your neighbor. But in a lucid dream, they are thought to be entities that are from different dimension, different consciousness. And they don't like when humans come into their realm. And my experience would very, very much follow that hypothesis. So this person, it was a man, came up to the front door, knocked on the door. I answered the door. He barged in, and then he had a set of keys, and he kept saying, "You need to come with me." And I said, "No." And he was like, "No, you have to come with me." And I would say, "No." And he'd say, "You have to come with me." And I'd say, "No." And I started to back up the stairs. And the last time he said, like, "You are going to come with me." And I said, "No." And I ran up the stairs and got back into bed. And at that point, I woke up. Back in my bed, back in my house, actually awake. So the thing that is so hard to explain to people that have never experienced this is it was as vivid, as clear as day. I was making decisions. I was looking out my own two eyes. it was 100% conscious. So through my research, books, internet, podcasts, there are lots of people that say that you can kind of be stuck somewhere in between the two of a lucid dream and an astral projection. So I think I was somewhere in that middle realm, but leaning more to the astral projection. So what else have I been doing this month? So another thing that I did is I took all and any of my crystals. Yes, crystals. Yes, we're getting a little bit woo-woo with it, but I will explain a little bit of the science as well. So I took any of my crystals that would kind of be anything grounding, keeping you kind of grounded in yourself, and I put those away. I only left crystals that would kind of promote the opposite of grounding, if that makes any sense. I want to be free. I don't want to be grounded. Kind of the science of the crystals theory. So we know, this is not a woo-woo theory. We know that everything on the planet vibrates. We also know that like vibrations attract like vibrations. Proven in labs. Raise your vibration by picking crystals with a higher vibration than what the human body would naturally vibrate at. And this kind of higher vibrational state is what people talk about helping with psychic abilities, with healing, physical healing, as well as spiritual healing, mental healing. Nikola Tesla did believe that the quartz crystal could heal all human ailments, and he did a lot of experiments with quartz crystals healing the human body. Now, this is a fact. In fact, this is a fact. A quartz crystal, clear quartz crystal, vibrates at the same frequency as a healthy human cell. And like they're not even theories anymore. They've cured certain cancers with vibrational therapy. Of course, they don't use crystals. They use, some little gun that they use that shoots frequencies, but it is the same theory. So anyway, grounding crystals away, higher vibrational crystals on the bedside table. I can't say they did anything, but I also can't say they didn't. But they sure are pretty, and I sure do like them, and I'm not going to stop buying them. So this next one, it would seem to be an astral projection adjacent ability. It happens periodically throughout my life, once a month, once every 2 months, so it's pretty frequent. But it seems to have specific parameters. It is usually always my animals, and it is always my animals when they need help. It's always in the middle of the night, because that's when animals always need help. So I've got 2 stories. One was a while ago, and one was this month. So maybe the crystals do help. When these happen, I am not consciously in control of decisions. It is as if I am watching a movie not watching a movie. I'm in first person. I am me. I'm looking through my eyeballs, but I can't change anything. I can't make decisions. But then in the morning, my dream correlates with what happens in the waking world. I'm asleep. I wake up. I get up out of bed. I can hear my chicken outside in distress. So I run down the basement stairs, and there are 3 people stealing my chicken. But as they are running away, they turn into 3 fox. Now, in the waking world, I wake up. And I go, oh God, I think fox got my chicken. So I go outside to check, and there are, in fact, fox tracks come up over the bank, exactly where the people did in my dream. And you can see where the fox had jumped up on top of the chicken coop and was kind of trying to lean down and over and like pull at the wire that was like below the lid. Something scared the fox away. Fox jumps down, runs down the driveway. The chicken is fine. This is not related to why my chicken was in the house when I did my last video. It was following the chicken drama. The one this month, in my dream, there's a bunch of houses all along a street. So it's like house, 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 house. Each house has a little fence, just a little backyard fence around it. My horses got from my little fence into the neighbor's little fence. So I had to go and catch all my horses, which in my dream I was thinking, oh, thankfully, you know, they're in the wrong fence, but they're still in a fence. Put them back in the right fence. In the morning, my horses were in fact out of their fence and in a different fence. Now, it was still a fence on my property. It wasn't the neighbor's fence, but it's just a weird, can you even call it a coincidence? That essentially exactly what happened in the dream, out of their fence, in a different fence. It was exactly what they did. Out of their fence, in a different fence. And don't get me wrong, I have plenty of dreams that are just dreams, but it is, and like when I have these dreams, they are always, they're not just a dream, like they are incredibly vivid. They are like, the sounds are more crisp, but the colors are more colorful, like they're almost realer than real, if that makes any sense. Whenever I have one of these dreams, I always wake up in the morning and I always know that something has happened. Well, I think that's about all I have for you today. I know some of you probably stopped watching at like minute 2, but for those of you that stuck around, thank you so much. So if you have ever had any kind of astral projection experience or lucid dream or mixture of the both, feel free to drop them in the comments. That being said, I know a lot of people are waiting for some more reaction videos, so next Saturday will be the next episode of The Boys Trip of Terror. I hope you guys enjoyed this rabbit hole, and we'll see you next week. Bye!
That fucking Bigfoot, big furry son of a bitch, goddamn.
I know, I'm crazy.